Marvel is currently on a roll with its promotional run for Doomsday, releasing all these amazing teasers. And one of these teasers officially confirms that the Fox X-Men crew are finally going to be a part of the MCU and interacting with the main Avengers. And due to seeing these characters from different eras of the Marvel franchise finally coming together, this got me thinking of how the Fox iterations of the mutants would fare in the MCU's biggest events and battles. How would they do against someone like Thanos or the Black Order? Or what would the X-Men think of these versions of the Avengers? But in today's video, I'm gonna take it back to 2012, the day the Avengers officially were established and became household names. In this timeline, the Avengers never assembled to defend New York, so instead of them fighting, the X-Men now have to fight in their place and battle Loki and his army to stop the invasion of the Chitauri. Would they have the power and stats necessary to stop the Chitauri invasion and stop Loki from taking over New York? Obviously, due to the convoluted and very confusing timeline of the Fox universe, we're just gonna keep it simple and use the members that were in the original Fox trilogy. So Wolverine, Jean Grey, Cyclops, Storm, Nightcrawler, Katie Pryde, Iceman, Charles Xavier, Beast, Rogue, Colossus, and these guys weren't officially part of the X-Men. I'll include Magneto and Mystique as well as any other members of the Brotherhood of Mutants. Since realistically, if the invasion did take place within the X-Men timeline and there was a space god wreaking havoc on the streets, mutants would have definitely been in the crossfire and Magneto would definitely intervene. And if we have time, I'll go over some of the scaling for some of the later members that get introduced into the later continuity. So with all that out of the way, let's answer the question, if the X-Men could survive a Chitauri invasion. To break this down, we're first going to have to scale the original 6 Avengers, and by 6 I mean 3, since Captain America, Hawkeye and Black Widow are not really all that strong, and by far Hulk, Iron Man and Thor are the strongest in the group. So to start off, I have the Avengers attack potency at around country level, and I base this on the feat Thor performed in the first movie where he shook Jotunheim's surface with one swing of his hammer, which is calculated to have 39 teratons of TNT, and due to Hulk and Iron Man trading blows with the God of Thunder, they would be relative to him as well. As for speed, we can use Mjolnir to calculate the Avengers' speed stats. In Thor the Dark World, we see Mjolnir travel from Earth into space in just a couple seconds. This feat was calculated to be around Mach 1133 or 1133 times faster than the speed of sound. And because he uses lightning for his attacks as well, will grant him massively high supersonic attack speeds as well. These stats are important too, since this would be indicative of how strong Loki is as well, since he fought Thor and Captain America in fisticuffs. So with this out of the way, let's scale the X-Men. How do they compare? For me, the most powerful mutants on the team are Cyclops, Storm, Magneto, Professor X, and Jean Grey. And I'm going to be using novelizations of the X-Men films to scale them, since that's where all the juicy feats are, and the films themselves don't really do justice to show how powerful they really are. I mean, just look at your boy Cyclops. Cyclops' optic blasts were able to destroy mountains and were confirmed to travel at the speed of light. Magneto's best feat would be him lifting the JFK Stadium in Days of Future Past, and yes, I am counting this since this is technically the same version of the character that we see in the OG Fox timeline, which would put Magneto comfortably in the city level tiers of power. However, in the novelization of the X-Men movies, the books tells us that he has the power to manipulate the magnetic field of the Earth, which would require around 24 gigatons of TNT, bumping him into the island tiers of power. And sadly, we can't use the feats performed in X-Men Apocalypse, because he was being boosted by Apocalypse when performing these feats and wasn't under his own power. Now we move on to some of the more broken members of the X-Men, Storm and Jean Grey. Storm is casually shown to be able to generate huge lightning storms. Feats such as this typically fall into the small city level tiers of power, and if we delve deeper into the novelization of the X-Men movies, it's stated that she was able to generate category 5 level hurricanes, which for those who don't know is this, getting her into the multi-continental tiers of destructive power. And because she uses lightning for her attacks as well, this would grant her massively hypersonic speed scaling as well, which is around 300,000 times faster than the speed of sound. Jean Grey with the Phoenix Force is easily the most powerful member of the X-Men, hands down. Last Stand backs this up. Her mutant abilities are stated to surpass even someone like Magneto. Her abilities are so great that the novelization of Last Stand states that her powers were going to destroy the Earth on a molecular level. So this already puts Jean Grey with the Phoenix Force at that planetary to small star levels of power, depending on what calcs you use. Lastly, Professor X. While he doesn't have any feats in terms of combat or destruction, his power to control minds and track people with Cerebro will definitely come in handy for the Battle of New York. So with most of the relevant members of the X-Men covered, how would they perform in the Battle of New York? And I'll be honest, I think the X-Men have a much easier time dealing with Loki and the Chitauri than the Avengers did. And I'll go over those reasons for why I think this. 1. The X-Men have more members, which is a pretty basic observation, but let's break it down. The original Avengers only had 6 members, 2 members being normal humans with no special powers. Meanwhile, the X-Men, depending on who we draft, has around 10 to 14 named mutants that can fight to defend the city. Wolverine would easily be a monster on the battlefield, someone who's previously fought in many wars, and due to his healing factor and adamantium skeleton, cannot be killed by common Chitauri foot soldiers. Cyclops' optic blast would also be useful for sniping leviathans out of the sky, and similar reasoning would extend to Storm and Magneto, who can use their powers to generate enough destructive force to keep them from harming civilians. If we added later members like Psylocke or Quicksilver or even Deadpool, it would further reinforce this point. Quicksilver would easily be the fastest member of the group, being able to reach relativistic speeds, with some media implying that he can move faster than light. 2. More versatile abilities to help combat Loki. Most of the abilities in the original Avengers just boil down to shoot lasers, fly, and punch really hard. They didn't really have any powers that could be used in a strategical manner, which is where the X-Men excel in. Professor X's ability to read minds would be very important for gathering information on Loki's army. He would easily know about the scepter being the key to shutting down the portal, which he can relay to the rest of the team using Cerebro. He would also be aware of the government's plan to nuke New York City to destroy the Chitauri, which he could easily shut down by mind controlling one of the operators or directing the missile straight to the mothership, ending the invasion. There are other ways that the X-Men could deal with the missile. Magneto can quite reasonably use his magnetism to control the path of the missile and do the same thing Iron Man did in the first movie. However, one thing people might point out is that not all the mutants in the X-Men have any real combat skills. The first people that come to mind would be Rogue or Katie Pryde. Katie Pryde I got nothing for, but Rogue's power to one-tap people with her mutant ability would be very useful if she could touch Loki. Nightcrawler's ability to teleport would also make him very tricky to catch and allows him to traverse the battlefield very quickly. And finally, the third reason. The X-Men are just stronger than the Avengers. Going off the novelization of the characters, X-Men would have higher scaling and feats than most Avengers. Even if we remove the Phoenix Force from the equation, Storm would still have statements that surpass that of the version of Thor from Avengers 1. Like I said before, having more members would mean covering more of New York, and because most of the members have some sort of enhanced ability, they can do more damage and be more useful than someone with just a pistol or a bow. So, to answer the question, could the X-Men stop the Chitauri invasion? Yes, very easily. If you guys made it to the end of the video, thank you so much, and consider subscribing and liking the video. I'm trying to grow the channel, so just do that so I know you want more, and I'll see you in the next video.